And Alice was strange, and Paul and Alice have what sounds like a fascinating idea, and they're going to tell us about it. The thing in the program says they want to provide farmers with fields to innovate in, time to develop, part-time employment and experience, and importantly a pathway to small-scale farming. So they wanted to get people who are passionate about farming and caring for the environment and strengthening communities onto the land. So I'll hand over to Paul and Alice.
Cool. Thank you for a lovely introduction. First of all, it's really great to be here amongst so many different people. We go to a lot of these types of foodie events in Melbourne, which is where we're from, so it's an honour to be out amongst people from rural areas. And I think what we're doing ties in pretty well with the speakers we've just been listening to. I know that we just touched upon the difficulty that a lot of people face getting into farming. So I'm from the city, born and bred, but I want to be a farmer. And it was never given to me as any kind of viable career option. And I'm not born into farming, I don't have parents who are going to give me a big loan to get a farm, the bank isn't going to, and I don't know how to farm. So Paul's a good mate of mine, and he's been developing this initiative for about a year now. Yeah, and I joined the team earlier this year, and we really want to see more young people who want to be farmers from the city, from wherever, have access to this wonderful world. And so maybe Paul can explain a little bit about exactly what we're hoping to do.
Hello. I'm a little nervous, so I'll do something really awkward to break the ice. If we could all, for a moment, close our eyes, and don't worry, it's not a hippie thing, but just close your eyes. And if you could imagine a farmer. Create a picture in your mind, imagine their face, body, give them some farmer attire. Imagine this person out there in the fields working, sowing seed, growing food, tending to livestock, out in the hot sun. Now, raise your hand if this person is someone you would want to jump into bed with. So you want to get into the sack with this person?
Oh, well.
Okay. You can open your eyes. So there weren't too many. Yeah, and they were mostly female, I think. But the question, what I'm wondering about, the question I ask is, does farming have a sexy problem, like a sex appeal that would draw young people into, give them the desire to farm?
There's 3 female farmers here.
Yeah. Well, how many people in their mind imagined a female farmer? Wow, that's really good. Anyway.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, so we, Alice and I, also here, and kind of Leela, we very much represent those who are aspiring to farm and trying to make it happen. And this initiative is about, empowering ourselves and trying to get into farming, and also through doing that, creating a model that allows others to do so. I'll do my best to explain what our main model is. So what we envision is operating a market garden. This is a working market garden, growing stuff, selling to people. And that would employ part-time some newbie farmers and pay them a modest wage. But also allow these people to, on the off days when they're not working a couple of days a week, access to a sublease, a little plot on that same land where they can develop their own farming business and do what they want. So they would come to us with a business plan and have access to land and shared resources as well. So you can imagine something where, you're paying to lease the cool room, so 4 or 5 people don't need to all go out and buy cool rooms. Same thing applies for tools, other plant and equipment. And sorry, I'm just winging it. But it's very daunting trying to get into farming, and you really feel it. There's a lot of risk, of course, involved, and it's tricky to get into. And it's about, collaborating and sharing that risk together in order to get into this. So what Farmer Incubator is about, as the name says, is incubating farmers. And so it's about allowing them to start small, to get a foothold and to incubate their business. So we are really where Katie was a few years ago. We are just a start-up, and we're trying to find land, and we've tried various ways of doing that, a whole bunch of strategies. Even a few weeks ago, we were out there knocking on doors, on farmers' doors, and saying we want to lease land in the area, we intend to grow veggies and start this project. And people would kind of get down from their tractors and think, what do these two want? It was a good experience doing that. And it has been hard to find this right bit of land. We always expected it would take a long time. There's a Leonard Cohen song about it. The dealer waiting for the perfect deal. They won't have to deal again. I don't know if you know that one. It kind of feels like that. But in the meantime, we thought, okay, let's re-strategize for the moment and think, how can we ourselves as a team, as the incubator, start small? And if you want to explain our great new idea, which is already underway.
Yeah, sure. I might just go back a little bit and touch upon what I think we're envisioning, which is a pretty radical shift away from how people get into farming in this country. We want to maybe put aside the obsession that we all seem to have with ownership of land. I'm pretty sure it's an English thing. I don't see it too much in, say, France or Italy, where the idea of custodianship is a little bit more relevant. I think here ownership is so important, city and rurally, that it's just at the moment becoming a really big barrier for people thinking about farming as a career. It's more like a life sentence or something. So we see leasing as being something that can really reshape and reinvigorate and create a bit of change in rural landscapes. So people moving on and off the land in 10, 20-year periods, and people coming onto our market garden and moving on to somewhere else or leasing someone else's property. So we want to see a change and movement between city and rural areas. And as someone who grew up in the city, there is so many people like me who want to get more connected with where their food comes from. There are farmers markets, there's organics, and they want to farm, but the idea of it is daunting because the markets might not be there, it's a whole lot of risk, and there's no way to own land. So we're trying to do as much as we can to reduce what are now barriers to just hurdles. So someone could come onto the land who probably has some skills already, maybe some internship program or some woofing, and has a really amazing business plan, a farm business plan, to come on and start at small scale. And if you're going to fail small scale. If you're going to do a dairy, start with 1 cow and do your cheese recipe. If you're going to try out different, varieties of kale, do it on a small scale and see what works, and use our marketing channels. Are you going to do it locally? You're going to go to restaurants? You're going to go to Melbourne farmers markets? We just want to see a whole lot of ideas and movement and change come into the area and the industry, so that people are growing better, eating better, enjoying it, talking more. So I think we're just really passionate and invigorated, and we love being in these kind of spaces because everybody here's probably got a lot of ideas and helpful hints that they could point us towards. But one of the things that we're doing right now is starting the incubator model on a small scale. So a big part of incubation is training and learning and collaboratively sharing, teaching. And we're hopefully going to be involved with the National Environment Centre, hopefully organising or preparing a program for participants to be involved in and learn farming skills in an academic sense as well. So we want to start small right now, and the idea is to grow some garlic with a team of people, a bit of share farming. So we're looking to lease a few rows, get a bunch of people together, maybe 12, who would envision growing garlic on a commercial scale one day, or maybe they just want to do one crop. Come down wherever the land is, maybe 6 times or 7 times over the season. So learn how to sow it, how to water, how to weed, how to harvest, and then the marketing challenge. What are we going to do with this? How are we going to sell it? So that's where we're at now. We want proof of concept. We want to have a go with the incubation model and see what we can do with some garlic. Yeah. And garlic because it's easy and low input than tomatoes.
Okay. When we started off, what we did was some surveys, and they went out to aspiring farmers who would be participants of what we propose, and to existing landholders and existing farmers. And I'll just speak about some of the results, like what kind of data we got, what people were saying. So we put out a survey to networks in Melbourne where we knew people were interested in growing veg and stuff like that, so the Permablitz network, doing it ourselves. We put the survey out and it got answered really quickly. In a few days we had 80 respondents. And so there was really the desire for people who want to farm. There's no lack of that. But one of the things we asked was, okay, you as an aspiring farmer, what do you perceive to be the barriers towards achieving this dream? So people have said, I lack farming knowledge, I don't have enough experience, I don't have anywhere near enough money, I'm cautious about debt. They've said, I don't know any of the regulations, I don't have the confidence, I don't have a partner farmer, someone to get into it with. I'm fearful of isolation, and then there were other reasons, but they dropped below 20% of respondents. So that's a snapshot of what people in our shoes are thinking. And then on the other side of the thing, on the landholder side, one of the questions was about, okay, what are your worries about having a farmer incubator style thing or new farmers coming on? What came up was insufficient water was a big one, possible disruption to an existing farming operation, unsure of how the lease would work, worried the new farmer might not look after the land. But a lot of people 50% considered they would mentor new farmers, and we got a lot of little offers of corners of land. And what they are buying into is, okay, so what's motivating these people to respond, and why would they want to support a farmer incubator style venture? They're attracted to, of course, the potential income stream through leasing. They feel that the land is not used to its potential, and people are excited about sharing their knowledge with the younger generation.
Yeah, so just quickly to explain, we're sort of working with 2 models. So one would be the market garden that Farmer Incubator hopefully leases for a very long time, to which people come on and then move off once they're ready to start their business. And the second model, which we need to think of a better name, but we're calling it the satellite model at the moment, is almost a matchmaker service, like what I think the discussion brought up before about how do we connect people that want to lease farmland and people that want to start their business, and to act or facilitate those contractual agreements and really pairing up like-minded individuals so that this is something that people can do on a long-term basis. It's not share farming, it's leasing your land to someone to start their own farm business and enterprise. And making our rural landscape a bit more of a patchwork.
Okay, we do have a little video to show, and unfortunately it's not ours, but ours is coming one day. And it just helps to visualise something. So this will be one from Canada. So there's, we thought of this idea, it was original, but it just so turns out that it already existed everywhere. So the US might have about 30 Canada, the UK, France are all doing similar things. So we thought, oh, okay, proof of concept. And they also make so many resources available, like open source. I haven't even read through them all. There's templates, even in the US, there is an organization which supports the startup of Farmer Incubators. They've got everything there. So this will just show you what's happening in 75 minutes. Yeah, yeah.